Hello YouTube. This is Sam Gerrans from Qur'anite.com, and today is Wednesday 21st of October 2015, and today I would like to talk about what I call God's covenant in the Quran, and this is al-fātiḥah. Now, just a quick word to people who don't have any sort of Islamic background or any knowledge of the Quran. Al-fātiḥah is the first surah or the first chapter, the first bit of the Quran. If you open up a Quran, it's what you come to first. In my discussions and attempts to reach reason with people from Islamic backgrounds, I tried to find out what it is they think this Al-Fātiḥah is about, and frankly wasn't able to come to any firm conclusions. There are opinions about it, some of which are that it's people like to draw parallels between it and the Lord's Prayer and various other things. Now, if you're not from an Islamic background, it might not immediately be apparent to you how important this part of the Quran, this opening section is. So I'll just give you a bit of background on it, and then a short translation, and then I'll discuss what I think it is and what it means. Al-Fātiḥah is part of the Traditionalist Muslims' prayer ritual regimen. In fact, it's not just a part of it, it's actually crucial to it. Now, this prayer regimen is not in the Quran, but just leaving that to one side for a moment, if every Muslim repeats the Muslim prayer, which if you're not from an Islamic background, you probably just see people standing and bowing. You don't perhaps have any understanding of the component parts of it. It's not just standing and bowing in a sort of ad hoc fashion. It's divided into sections, and each of these sections are standing, then a bowing, then a standing, then a prostration, a sitting, a prostration, and a sitting. Now that unit would be called a zakāt. This is a non-Quranic term. The term zakāt as a noun doesn't occur in the Quran. Now, Al-Fātiḥah features in every single zakāt. It's that central. If every nominal Muslim kept all of the canonical prayers as intoned by the traditionalist Muslim, Al-Fātiḥah would be repeated, or is repeated, a total of 10 trillion times a year. This is how central it is. So that's just to give you a bit of background. Now what I'm going to do is just quickly go through what it means. So it opens, I'll read my own translation from the Quran, A Complete Revelation, which you can download for free using the button in the top right hand corner. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. What that phrase means, it's just a seeking refuge with God before reciting. So I seek refuge with Almighty God against Shaitan the rejected. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the Almighty, the Merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Praise belongs to God, the Lord of all mankind. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, the Almighty, the Merciful. Maliki Yawmiddin, Master of the Day of Judgment. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Thee alone will we serve, and from Thee alone will we seek help. Ihdina as-sirāta al-mustaqīm. Guide Thou us to the straight path. Sirāta alladhīna an'amta 'alayhim, ghayril maghḍūbi 'alayhim walaḍ-ḍāllīn. The path of those whom Thou hast favoured, not of those who incur wrath, nor of those who go astray. This is Al-Fātiḥah. This is repeated, as I say, if every Muslim is keeping all the prayers, around 10 trillion times a year. So this is, I should imagine, probably the most repeated piece of text in all of history. So that's Al-Fātiḥah. Now, what does it mean? For a long time, I frankly didn't fully understand the import of this. And when I talk to Muslims and try to get their understanding of it, quite frankly, they don't understand it either. ideas exist. The Christians are those who went astray, so we can't be like those, or those who are favoured, those who incur thy wrath, those must be the Jews. This is just infantile. So what I did was I just, as anybody who's read my work will understand, is that I took the almost unprecedented step of thinking for myself. And as part of my studies, I became interested in the Hittites. And the Hittites, their kingdom at some point actually buttressed that part of the world where I place Muhammad, which is Petra, in northern Arabia, or in today's Jordan. And the Hittites were a very interesting people, and I'll just quickly explain why I'm now talking about the Hittites instead of al-fātiḥah in Arabic. And I read about the suzerainty treaty as put down or laid down by the Hittites. And as I read it, I realized this is exactly what al-fātiḥah is. It's a contract. Now, a suzerainty contract is a contract between a lord and a vassal, and it broke down into bits. Now, under these treaties, the vassal and the lord would come to terms, and the treaty fell into very distinct sections. So there was a preamble where both the contract owner, i.e. the lord, and the vassal were identified. So in al-fātiḥah, this is 1:1 and 1:5. So in the name of God, the Almighty, the Merciful, here we are, we've named God, he's been identified. And in verse 5, the person shifts to thee alone will we serve, and from thee alone will we seek help. So we're speaking as us, as the vassal. There's a prologue which lists the deeds done by the suzerain for the vassal. And here, in al-fātiḥah, it's God's universal credentials at 1:2 through 1:4. So praise belongs to God, the Lord of all mankind, the Almighty, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. So these are his credentials. There are stipulations or terms to be upheld for the life of the treaty by the vassal and the lord. So these terms are, there's our part of the contract, verse 5, thee alone will we serve, and from thee alone will we seek help. Now that's our part of the contract. God's part of this contract, guide thou us to the straight path, the path of those whom thou hast favoured, not of those who incur wrath, nor of those who go astray. That's God's part of the contract. Now there was provision for regular reading, and here al-fātiḥah is read, as I've said, multiple times a day by long-standing convention, and also given its place at the head of the Quranic text, it's a natural prelude to reading any of the rest of it. Then there is divine witness to the treaty. I'm talking now about the Hittite suzerainty treaty, and in this context of al-fātiḥah, that's implicit throughout. And finally, there were blessings upon those who upheld the treaty and curses upon those who failed to do so. And here, if you read Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, verse 2 to 5, you've got the blessings on those who keep the contract. And then if you read through 2:6 to 2:21, you have what happens to the people who fail to keep the contract. So this fits in all aspects the mechanics and the logistics and the salient key points of a Hittite suzerainty treaty. Now, what am I saying? Am I saying that the Quran was written by Hittites? No. What I'm saying is that the Hittite empire buttressed Petra, and that this form of treaty would have been known across that part of the world and therefore easily understood by them. But what I'm saying is this is a treaty. When you read al-fātiḥah, you're not praying. What you're doing is you're taking upon you a covenant. It's the covenant to serve God alone. No, I'm not talking about a religion. I'm certainly not talking about the organized religion known as Islam or any other organized religion. I'm saying that you are making a contract or renewing a contract to serve God alone. It's between you and your maker. Now there's a second part to what I'm talking about here, which is when we turn to Al-Baqarah. Now Al-Baqarah is the second surah, and it opens, likewise, in the name of God, the Almighty, the Merciful. Alif Lam Mim, which are 3 letters which we can discuss at another time. Now, verse 2 reads, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Now, the traditionalist will translate this as something like, this is the book about which there is no doubt, a guidance for the God conscious, something like that. What he's done, because he hasn't understood what al-fātiḥah is, he can't really continue to understand any of the rest of it. ذَلِكَ, which is a demonstrative pronoun in Arabic, means that. As it's used in the Quran consistently, as I translate it consistently in every single instance, it means that which preceded. Not this which is coming or that which is coming, but that what you've just seen there, that al-kitab, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ. That is the, as I translate, the covenant. That is the covenant about which there is no doubt. Guidance for those of prudent fear. The Quran is telling you what al-fātiḥah is, and it's telling you who it's for. Now, later in the Quran, at 1037, the Quran itself says that it serves 2 purposes. One is to confirm that which some translate went before, or I would say went that which is within its scope, those things which it treats of, those are the things that it's confirming. And 2, to give a detailed exposition of al-kitabu la rayba fi, or the covenant about which there is no doubt. This has not been understood before, but al-kitabu la rayba fi is the Quran's way of naming al-fātiḥah. It's a proper noun. And this expression, al-kitabu la rayba fi, actually occurs 3 times in the Quran, and each time this is what it's referring to. So, al-kitabu la rayba fi, or as I translate, the covenant about which there is no doubt, is al-fātiḥah. That's your covenant and my covenant with God. And that's what it means. Every time we say, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, we are claiming that we're going to put our trust entirely in God's hands. That's a thought now. I hope this has been of some help to you, and that it will increase your appreciation of this wonderful part of the Quran. That's all for now. If you're listening on YouTube, you can download my full translation of the Quran free using the button in the top right hand corner. I also encourage you to sign up for the Quranite Plus newsletter on the site to get occasional micro updates. Like if you like, comment if you have something to say, and subscribe to get more each week. And remember, this life is short. Eternity is long. If you want good trees, plant good seeds.